My cousin's financial meltdown forced me to reevaluate family loans. I still remember the day David called me, though I wish I could forget the dread that came with it. It was a rainy Tuesday, the kind of persistent drizzle that makes the world feel smaller, heavier, as if everything is weighed down by invisible water. David's voice over the phone was tentative, almost apologetic, carrying a vulnerability I had never associated with him. He had always been larger than life, brimming with confidence and reckless energy, the kind of man who could walk into a room and make everyone notice him. Not just because of his charm, but because he carried a wild optimism that felt infectious. But on that day, it was gone. "Can we talk?" he asked, voice low, and I felt a pang of concern twist in my chest. Something in me braced for the worst. When he arrived at my house that evening, soaked slightly from the rain, I saw a man who seemed smaller than I remembered, hunched under the weight of his own shame. His usual bright eyes were dulled, and the easy confidence that once made him irresistible was replaced by anxiety and guilt. He carried a coffee cup as if it were a shield, and I could see the tremor in his hands. I knew, before he spoke, that his call was serious. He sat down opposite me, staring at the table, hesitant, as if the words themselves were dangerous. I messed up," he said finally, barely above a whisper. "Everything, it's gone. Investments, savings, the business. I don't know what to do." The words hit me like a physical blow. David, my cousin, the man who had once promised me and everyone else that he would be a millionaire by 30, had fallen into ruin. And worse, I knew that his decisions had consequences beyond his own life. Our family had a tradition, unspoken but deeply felt, of helping one another in times of need. We leaned on each other, lent money, offered advice, shared resources. But even I had to admit, there is a limit to loyalty when someone repeatedly chooses recklessness over responsibility. Over the years, David had borrowed money from me countless times, each time promising that it would be temporary, that the next venture would be different, that he would pay it back. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to help him. And I also wanted to preserve the illusion that our family bond was unbreakable, that love could somehow shield him from his own mistakes. But now, hearing him confess everything, I felt the chilling truth settle in my chest. Generosity can enable ruin, and love cannot always prevent the consequences of poor choices. My mind raced with calculations and what-ifs. I had a mortgage, bills, a savings plan for emergencies, and children who depended on me. Offering David money again could destabilize everything I had worked so hard to protect. And yet, the thought of letting him sink entirely, of turning my back, filled me with guilt. I consulted my family, quietly, testing the waters of opinion. My mother, ever compassionate, insisted that family must always step in. "He's your cousin. You have to help him," she said. "No one else will." My brother, pragmatic and blunt, argued the opposite. "Helping him now won't fix anything," he said. "He needs accountability, not a handout. You're only enabling him if you give him money again." I wrestled with this advice, torn between the instinct to help and the rational understanding that some mistakes must be faced head-on. At night, I lay awake thinking about all the times David had promised he would change, all the investments he had chased that had failed, all the loans that had been forgiven only to be asked for again. And yet, I also thought of his childhood, the circumstances that shaped him, the family struggles that may have made him feel that risk was the only path forward. David had grown up in a household that, while loving, was financially unstable. His parents worked long hours, often leaving him to navigate the world with little guidance. He was clever, ambitious, and determined, but he had never learned the value of financial prudence. He was always chasing the next big opportunity, believing that he could outrun his circumstances with charm and ambition. I remembered long conversations from our teenage years, when he would talk about starting businesses, creating wealth, and escaping mediocrity. Back then, it was inspiring, even exhilarating, but the seeds of recklessness were also planted. Impatience, overconfidence, and a sense that rules did not apply to him. Watching him now, I saw the consequences of those early patterns, magnified over decades. When I finally sat down with him to confront the situation honestly, I felt a knot of anxiety in my stomach. How do you tell someone you love that you cannot rescue them? How do you set boundaries without shattering a relationship? We sat on the porch, the winter wind biting through our coats, the rain having turned to a fine mist. I spoke gently, carefully, each word chosen with empathy. David, I said, I love you. You're my family, but I cannot give you money again. I cannot fix this for you. What you need now is not someone to bail you out, but someone to help you face reality. He looked down, his fingers clutching the mug as if he could somehow absorb the warmth into his skin and soul. I was afraid you'd say that, he admitted. I don't want to lose you too. You won't lose me, I said, but I have to be honest. You have to take responsibility for your choices. I can guide you, support you, and help you rebuild, but I cannot rescue you. For a long moment, there was silence. The rain tapped against the roof, a soft, persistent reminder of the passage of time. And then, slowly, a small spark appeared in his eyes. Not the reckless confidence of the past, but the quiet flicker of acceptance. What followed was a painstaking process of rebuilding. David had to make real sacrifices, selling assets he had held onto with unrealistic hope, downsizing his living arrangements, taking a job far below what he had imagined for himself. Each step was humiliating and painful, yet necessary. I supported him in every way I could, without compromising my own security, helping him draft budgets, checking in on progress, offering guidance and encouragement, and sometimes just listening when the weight of failure threatened to overwhelm him. Over time, small victories began to appear. He paid off old debts incrementally, rebuilt his credit, and slowly gained confidence in managing his finances. He attended financial counseling and started tracking his spending meticulously, learning habits he had never developed before. His transformation was not linear. There were setbacks, arguments, moments of despair, and times when I questioned whether I had made the right decision in refusing to give him money outright. But each challenge was a lesson in resilience, both for him and for me. Watching him rebuild was a reminder that love is not always about protection. Sometimes it is about truth, guidance, and accountability. Our family also changed in the process. Conversations became more honest, discussions about money more transparent, and the bonds that had once been strained by resentment were slowly reinforced by shared effort and understanding. My mother, who had initially urged me to give him money, began to see that tough love could coexist with compassion, and my brother, who had been skeptical, admitted quietly that our approach was ultimately the right one. As months passed, David began to smile again, not the reckless, brash grin of his younger self, but a steady, quiet smile, the kind that comes from facing hardship and surviving. He became more introspective, thoughtful, and intentional with his choices. Our relationship, once strained, deepened. I realized that my love for him had not been measured by the money I gave, but by the patience, honesty, and guidance I offered. In this journey, I also learned about myself, about the limits of generosity, the importance of boundaries, and the necessity of protecting my own well-being while still nurturing those I love. I discovered that true support does not always involve rescuing someone from consequences, but walking with them as they confront their mistakes, offering guidance, encouragement, and unwavering presence. David's recovery continues to this day. He is not wealthy, not by any conventional measure, but he has gained something far more valuable: the ability to navigate life responsibly, the resilience to face challenges, and the humility to accept help in the right form. Our family, tested as we were, remains intact, stronger than before, not because we shielded one another from reality, but because we faced it together. And in that shared struggle, we found a deeper kind of love, one rooted in truth, empathy, and mutual respect. Reflecting on this experience, I understand that financial collapse can devastate, but enabling recklessness can be equally destructive. Compassion without boundaries may comfort temporarily, but can harm in the long term. Love requires courage, And sometimes the kindest act is not giving money, but insisting on responsibility. I also understand that family bonds are measured not by how much we give, but by how we support each other in meaningful ways, through honesty, patience, and shared effort. I think of David now and feel a mix of pride, hope, and relief. He is learning, growing, and surviving. And I feel gratitude for the lessons I have learned. That generosity is multifaceted, that resilience is forged in struggle, and that love, when balanced with wisdom, can endure even the harshest trials. The story does not end with complete restoration or perfect solutions. Life will continue to challenge us, as it always does, and David will face obstacles that test him anew. But now we face them together with honesty, empathy, and the understanding that true generosity sometimes means letting go of the easy path and walking the difficult one side by side. And that is a gift far greater than anything money could provide. A gift I now know I am proud to have given and received.